with people, and I can see you. And also, I sort of talk about what's happened during the week, and also I operate under the knowledge that no one will ever remember or speak of the bit I do at the beginning ever again, because it will be eclipsed by people who've thought about what they're going to say, and nobody has recording equipment. This is a bit like the difference between thinking someone's a twat and calling them a twat on Twitter. At the moment, I'm calling you all a twat on Twitter, so you can all see it and hold it against me for years to come. Whereas if I was to do it in a normal excess malarkey, it would just be like I'd think bad thoughts about you and start voodoo. Yes?
Toby, we don't have any sound, sadly.
Oh no, that was gold.
It was gold. We've recorded it, so don't worry. It was gold. I don't know why there's no sound.
Right.
But there is no sound.
That was the funniest I've ever been. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Everyone else can hear you on the Zoom chat, but nobody on the stream can hear you, which is upsetting.
But have they turned the sound up? Have they turned the sound up on their television?
They have turned the sound up, yeah.
Right, okay. Right, have they plugged everything in?
Yes, I think so. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is shit because it was working earlier. Why?
Right. So
just hang out here.
Is it one of those hecklers who thinks they're being funny, going, "I can't hear what you're saying, mate," and actually they can? Like when they tell you they're called Colin and actually they're called Alan, and they think they've pulled one over you.
Yes, indeed. But it's not.
I'm called Colin, mate. Oh, yeah, well, you've admitted me by telling me something I didn't know, even though I couldn't possibly know the other thing.
Right.
I'm talking just in case.
Yes, thank you.
And somebody catches somebody. Somebody needs to catch a piece of gold flying past their ears.
The sound was working when we checked it.
Right.
Sorry, everyone. Hold on a minute.
You all.
My name
is.
Crap. All right, hold on. This is me being a bell end, I think. Oh, yeah. Okay, try talking now, Tobes.
Hello, this is Excess Malarkey.
Like saying nonsense, like, all right, it's working, working.
Oh, it's working. Oh, that's why somebody came into this room. They were telling me it wasn't working, and I told them to go away. Right. Hello, welcome to Excess Malarkey, and I hope you enjoyed our first joke, which was the compere talks for 5 minutes, but you can't hear what he says. It was like an extended tribute to Norman Collier, but with the hearing bits left out. Who's Norman Collier, Toby? I thought you were comedy aficionados. We are, but we're still quite young. Okay, so welcome to Excess Malarkey. My name's Toby Hadoke. I'm, for inexplicable reasons, still the regular compere at this long-running comedy club. This is our second foray into cyberspace, but it's the first time we've done it on cyberspace and it's been put on your television. So I hope you're watching it correctly. If anything this evening, if you don't like any of the jokes this evening, that's because you're not watching it properly, and we'll try and educate you by this time next week. We have 5 fantastic comedians. I leave the compere out of the comedian equation to relieve any pressure on me to be amusing. I'm like a screensaver, but with added affableness, and I'm naked underneath my cardigan. Not underneath, below my cardigan. Well, I'm pretty naked under. No, I've got a pixelating shirt. So I don't know what I'm supposed to talk now, I think. So hello, welcome. Thank you for coming to see us where we live in the television. This is not my living room. This is the room in the house where we put all the boxes that we haven't got anywhere to put in the house. What have you been doing today then, Toby? Largely moving the boxes to either side so you can't see them on the television, because we have a certain, yes, because somebody I live with is a bit house proud and said, that I wouldn't be allowed to put the house on the television if it was a mess. So anyway, hello. We're going to do this like a proper Excess Malarkey gig. So there's a terrible, ill-thought-out bit from me at the beginning. I actually did the bit with the sound. I mean, it was gold, and it will in future generations it will be pieced together by doughty fans who have scoured the archive and recreated my vocals using an actor. Probably one with a career, and future generations will be able to appreciate what you, sadly, on the day you'll just have to tell your grandkids that you were there when it was a soundless gig. So, but we're not going to have an interval because, frankly, you're at home. You can have a drink whenever you like, but if you could just be respectful of the acts when they're on and not make any noise, order too loudly, phone your mates, anything like that. If you want to heckle, please do. Oh no, I suppose they can. Can they type heckles in? I'm talking to God. Yes, they can. Oh, you can type heckles in. So be nice. And we've got 5 acts who are gonna. I might talk to them, but it's largely they'll be left to their own devices. Hope you're having a nice week. One of the reasons I'm floundering slightly is because Roz, who controls us all, you can't see the strings because I'm pixelating. It reminds me of a joke I said. Yes, I did a joke once. A joke I used to do when I was the warm-up man of University Challenge, because those are the showbiz circles that I've operated in my illustrious past. Because I don't know if is it doing it in your telly? It's doing it on mine. I'm sort of pixelating here. We had to on University Challenge. No one was allowed to wear stripes or checks because they would strobe, it's called, on the television. And I used to say to the audience, "We've just got to check that nobody's shirt is strobing on the television because otherwise they'll have to change their shirt because it's not nice for the audience at home, and it can induce it's an effect that can induce nausea on the viewing public. It's also known as Piers-Morgan syndrome. And oh, how the mums and dads used to laugh, and until they came back for the semi-final, the quarter-final, and the final, when I did it every time, and then they lost the will to live. But now I've committed it to, oh God, that's the terrible thing. Everything now here is committed to posterity, for better or worse. So look, we are going to do an Excess Malarkey gig. I would normally talk to the audience. What's your name? Oh, you're awful. Who are you? Oh, that was a bit tedious. You look like somebody famous. And you're Jonathan. Jonathan at the front. Welcome, Jonathan. I'm assuming Jonathan is watching. Is Jonathan watching? Jonathan, if you've never been to Excess Malarkey. Oh, yeah, you might be watching and have never been to Excess Malarkey. Well, here we are. Well, welcome. It's not normally like this. It's normally we're all together. Anyway, so Jonathan, for those of you that never, let me set the scene. We're in Excess Malarkey. Imagine you're in something that looks, a room that looks like the sort of place the A-Team got locked into after a fire, and with a glitter ball usually stuck to the ceiling relatively robustly, and a disparate group of lovely people, but no stag do's, hen do's, or office parties, because we don't let them in. And at the front, there is always the lodestone of the gig, Jonathan, who is a lovely audience member, who at this point in the evening, I ask to split the audience into teams so that we can get you practicing your whoops and your cheers to make all the acts feel very welcome. You can do that if you like tonight. Let's have some virtual love and applause. And so Jonathan, so I'm going to play Jonathan and the audience this evening. Yeah. So Jonathan, what's the team on the left called tonight? It's the Weatherspoons, Toby. I see where you might be going with this, Jonathan, because Jonathan, you see, always picks a team that. Well, anyway, you'll see. I don't want to spoil Jonathan's moment. I'm sorry, Jonathan. So you're the Weatherspoons on the left. Hope that's okay with you. I hope you're enjoying your $1.99 pint that is a bargain, only at the cost of the future of your fellow man. And on the left, who have we got on the left, Jonathan? Sports Director Toby. So right, I see what you've done there, Jonathan. You've chosen to name the teams after those fellows that look like when they were encouraging us to vote for Brexit, they really seemed like they were doing it for our good. And as it turns out, what a surprise! It turns out that when they said that they were doing it for Britain, they weren't even doing it for the people that they employ. So, so sports director. So we're going for sort of evil CEOs of companies. I've actually got a Lego set of evil CEOs of of companies, Toby. Thank you, Jonathan. I've left my Richard Branson at home. Okay, anyway, thank you, Jonathan. Sorry, anything that was libelous there, that was Jonathan. That wasn't me. So, okay, so on account, so we're going to welcome on stage the first act. Please give a big round. I mean, is this? No, I don't break the fourth wall, but I mean, is this what we're doing? Right. Okay. So, on a count of 3, Wetherspoons, 1, 2, 3, make some noise! Hooray! Oh, very good. Did you hear that? You're gonna have to do a bit better than that. So, on a count of 3, Sports Direct, give it some noise! Hooray! Oh, very good. Yeah. So now we're going to do that thing. We're going to all come together in a cacophony of mutual, vocal and manual affirmation to welcome us. We haven't told you who any of the guests are. It's a fantastic lineup. Please stay with us. That's the longest I will be doing this evening, so the worst of it is over. Those of you joining in late, that's the worst of the comedy night, not the coronavirus, about which I have no official status. So please welcome on. Rossie's putting terrible faces. Does she always do this when I'm on? So she's sitting there on the door, like Statler and Waldorf rolled into one. So let's welcome onto the stage our first act. Are we doing this, technology people? What a joy. We are so beholden and grateful to all of the acts who are performing this evening. Normally they can get there late and miss that bit. Haha. So anyway, first up, left-hand side and right-hand side together. Please give it up as we welcome onto the stage, into their living room, the first act of the evening, the one and only Mr. James Acaster!
Thank you. Hello, Toby.
Hello, James. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for having me. Are you having a nice lockdown?
Well, I have some hobnobs.
Very good. Yeah. Toby, I've been busy.
Yeah.
So ask me what I've been up to in the lockdown.
What have you been up to in the lockdown, James?
So busy, man. So busy. I'm actually, well, I mean, it's no secret. It's never been a secret, and nor should it ever have been a secret to know that I used to be an undercover cop. Everyone knows this about me. I was an undercover cop for quite some time. Got out of the biz, but now with all this lockdown stuff, they're having to call in all the undercover cops out of retirement to try and enforce a lockdown. And now Pat Springley's back on the streets trying to round people up, man, because let me tell you, the normal police officers wearing their uniforms, people saw them coming a mile off. They'd be loitering in the street all day long, just not even exercising or nothing. And then they'd see a copper and then they'd start like faking, like doing their stretches and stuff, like they're about to go for a jog. They bring in the undercover cops, right? I'm walking down the street. I see some loiterers. I pretend to be one of them. I just walk up to them. I'm like, hey guys, fuck COVID-19, am I right? Hey, only old people get it. I don't even care. And then they're like, yeah, we don't care either. It's a load of nonsense. I'm like, big mistake. I'm an undercover cop and you're under arrest. Now, at this point, it's a tricky situation. A lot of them, what you don't want to do, and I can't emphasize this enough, is chase them. If you chase them, now they're exercising, right? Now they're exercising, they found a loophole. You can't do them for nothing no more. Got to keep them stationary. Also, no point chasing them because you're not going to catch them. You got to keep a 2-meter distance. You're never going to catch them anyway. You got to keep in fact, as soon as they figure that out, they turn around and run towards you. Now the cat's become the mouse. You know what I mean? I've got to run. I've got them behind me. I can't let them get within 2 meters. I'm shouting their rights at the top of my voice. It's a nightmare. What you want to do, you approach them calmly on foot, tell them they're busted, and then you just want to write up a fine in your hand and put it on the floor, and then just step away like another 2 meters from the fine, and then you say to them, do you pick that up, please? And then they pick it up, and then you've got a witness picking it up and witness them reading it if possible, which looks like that. You'll be able to tell when they've got to the end of the sentence. And then technically now one of the things is prison's not a deterrent to a lot of these people. It's pretty much what they're used to anyway. If anything, it's an easier version of self-isolation. It's not they've pretty much got us helping them out. Some people are already sick of their families. I've caught a few people just lying down on the pavement trying to get out of self-isolation with the family, you know. Some people were about to, a lot of people I think were about to end relationships before this whole thing happened, and now in a right pickle. So really, prison's not much of a deterrent in my opinion. I think we should be doing other things, maybe like get two families who have both broken self-isolation and make them swap houses, stuff like that. Then that's annoying. You don't know where everything is. You got to do everything yourself, you know. One family, we got them locked up at the minute in the clink. Little tip, if you are arresting a whole family, because sometimes it's a whole family, arrest the littlest one first and the rest of them will just come with you out of just protection for that one. So don't like waste your time trying to round the whole family up. Get the little one, they'll follow you. Anyway, this is their house. I'm in their house now. They've had good Wi-Fi. That's really the main reason I arrested them. I do think they were exercising, to be fair to them, but they got excellent Wi-Fi, so I'm using it for this. Also, I think surprising me about people, a lot of people I've found are telling their families they're going to exercise when really they're just going to the shops and eating all the food before they get home. We've got a lot of greedy people here who don't want to share with their families, and it's disgusting. However, if you are going to do that, no judgment from me. Keep your receipt, because we're going to stop you on the way back. We're going to want to see that receipt. You won't believe some of the receipts I've read. This is day one. People need to eat better in this country. You have no idea what people are nipping out, telling their family they're exercising. I mean, fair enough. They're sweating. They're sweating. I mean, one guy, he ate 50 Swiss rolls. I should think so. Sweating his face off. Anyway, a lot of people at the minute are doing unspeakable things. One guy, this is like public enemy number one right now, and we're trying to get him. To day one, this guy, he's going around just throwing like drinks and like sandwiches at people's windows, taunting them. They're in isolation. He's just taunting them. We got him on CCTV. I can confirm and be on the lookout for him. It is David Blaine getting revenge for when he was in London that time in the box. You should have been nicer to him. He's absolutely taunting everybody right now, Blaine, and he's a magician because you can zap to anywhere he likes. He's zapping all over London. What's nice though, I'm one of the only people on the streets right now, you know. I'm walking like it's just me and the other undercover cops. We have chased each other, but that's fair enough, right? Eventually you figure out I'm chasing another one of my own, that's fine. It's so quiet now. It's quiet. The wildlife now, without anyone here. I saw in Piccadilly Circus a stag. I saw a stag in Piccadilly Circus and it looked at me and I looked at the stag and it was just peaceful, you know, and we just shared a connection. It was beautiful. It looked at me like it knew. It almost like it was saying to me, Springleaf, once this crazy dance is over, maybe you and I will meet up in a glade somewhere, you know, once this corona thing passes. It was a special moment until it got attacked by a swarm of hawks. Is that the... Got attacked by a swarm of hawks, and then I wasn't allowed to have the moment with the stag anymore. But it was nice while it lasted. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking it upon myself to do a lot of stuff at the minute. A lot of active police work. I think Corona. It's not just on the streets doing the lockdown. I'm trying to do my best online and stuff. Like, well, for example, I think a lot of people online are claiming that they've got this Corona thing when they haven't. There's a lot of attention seekers out there on the internet right now. You see a lot of statuses. I'm personally trying to call people out on it. I think as an undercover cop, it's my duty to do it. The whole force doesn't agree with me. The captain called me into his office the other day. It's like, Springleaf, please tell me this is not your name underneath everyone's statuses, calling them liars. I was like, Cap, these people, they're being irresponsible. Right? We got to keep things calm. They're making everyone panic. He's like, did you write this? Under every status, you seem to have written Chitty Bob, Tutankhamun, Peter Beardsley, Beard. Why have you written all that stuff? I was like, well, because for starters, not everyone went to the same school. That phrase is different in different schools. I'm trying to cover all the different ways that people said In my school, it was Peter Beardsley, but I appreciate some people may have gone to a Chinny Bob school or a Tutankhamun school. I don't want to put Peter Beardsley underneath someone's coronavirus status and panic everyone that Beardsley's got it. He's probably high risk as well, right? He's probably pretty vulnerable, Beardsley. So I don't want to be writing that underneath everyone. I'm trying to write every single variation. Anyway, the cat told me to stick to the streets and stop bothering people online. That's fair enough, you know. The main thing, actually, and I want to commend you, actually, Toby, on this gig. I want to see more of this. Comedy gigs on the internet, because too many comedy gigs are still trying to take place out in the wild right now. We've got a lot of sneaky promoters who aren't as nice as you guys. I've got to keep my ears open, and sometimes I hear like a little murmur of laughter, or maybe even an applause break if the comic's a pretty good one, you know, or one of those ones who just does trick, like a prop comic. But like sometimes I hear them, and I've got to go and investigate. The other day, I caught Hills Jago trying to put on a moose in an aviary. It was absolutely revolting. I couldn't believe it. Had to arrest some of the comics. I've got Cole Donnelly locked up right now for doing a pullback and reveal next to a parakeet. Absolutely appalling. He deserves everything he gets, that Cole Donnelly. He's in the clink. I don't care who knows it. Anyway, Toby, it's been lovely chatting to you. I'll see you another time. Stay safe, everyone. And if I see you on the streets, do not run. I cannot emphasize that enough. It will really ruin everything. Pat Springleaf, good night.
Thank you, Pat Springleaf, a.k.a. James Acaster. Bless you, James. We've kicked off our first... by the way, I just have to report, James, there was a drive-by jonglers just outside my window just now. So, yeah, you need to go and investigate.
I'll be right there. Chamberlain!
Well, that was a terrific start. Thank you, James. This is our live. I keep saying it's a virtue at Excess Malarkey, but it is an actual thing. None of us are avatars. We're all real. Is there anything? I was going to say, is there anything you'd like to plug, James? But presumably you're not allowed to go anywhere.
I would like to plug washing your hands and going to bed. Okay.
So if you'd like to wash your hands and go to bed after Excess Malarkey live, please do. Well, thank you very much, James, Pat, for doing this. Just a reminder, for those of you who've never been to Excess Malarkey before, hello, by the way. Ironically, I've got more tweets about a Doctor Who event that occurred today on my timeline than I have about this. But we're getting there, so do tweet and do all of that sort of thing. And those of you, I have got some tweets from people who've never been to Excess Malarkey before. So welcome. We are a non-profit making comedy club. By design, not accident. It's not just that we're just not quite good enough. We charge as little as possible and put on the best acts that we possibly can. And lovely acts flock to play us because you're a lovely audience. You're particularly well behaved tonight. Stop talking back, please. Yeah, thank you. And I'm going to welcome on stage our next act, who's getting ready now. And so please stamp your feet, clap your hands, and give a big warm welcome to Jen Ives.
Hello, hi Toby, how you doing?
I'm all right, Jen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm trying to shut my washing machine because I'm in the laundry area of my house.
You're gigging in front of a fridge.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Do you like my outfit? What do you reckon? Yeah?
I love your outfit. I feel rather underdressed.
You are. I thought I would wear this because as we've descended into medieval times, I thought I'd dress for the job that I want when this is all over. Do you know what I mean?
I like it. It's a plague dress.
Yeah, it's a plague dress. I think that's what they call it. I've been standing in the window of my garden like this, just ominously shunning everybody away. So this is nice. Wow, this is my first ever like online sort of streaming gig. So I would like to commend you for doing such a lovely job with it, guys. So now the pandering's out of the way. I could talk. So, I am looking pretty cool, I think. What do you reckon? You like it? Oh yeah, I forgot the audience can't respond, can they? That's going to be fun. Put that in the comments. I'm enjoying this online gig. It's the easiest crowd work I've ever had to do. I can just be like, be right back, you loser. So my name's Jen. I'm a transsexual. I don't know if you're aware of that. I don't know if there are any on the internet. Basically, this is what we wear when we're relaxing at home. If you don't know what a transsexual is, it's really simple. All it means is that I'm just like any other woman, except I can't feel empathy. And there are a few other little things as well that I don't really have time to go into. I always knew that I was either going to end up a cam girl on the internet or a stand-up comedian, and it's just nice to know that I can do both now. That's exciting. I had a New Year's resolution. I had a really like upbeat New Year's resolution this year. I was going to try and get fit. I was going to try and, you know, live my best life. I've changed it now. I've lowered my standards. I'm just going to try not to die. That's sort of, that's what I'm going to do. I got a text today from the government. Anyone get a text from the government? That was exciting. I've never had a text from it wasn't to do with the coronavirus. It was a booty call, which is to be expected. The people that I'm most worried about during this sort of coronavirus epidemic are the polyamorous people, because they said, the government, didn't they? They said that you can only be in groups of 2. So it's going to be nice to show them what it's like to be a traditionalist for a little while, just like the rest of us. People have been complaining about all the sort of stock being sold out in all the shops and stuff. It's pretty bad. I went to Tesco's, everything was sold out. I went to B&Q, all the shelves were sold out. So that's not good. My New Year's resolution, my New Year's resolution this year was that, my New Year's resolution this year is that I'm going to do more for the environment, which I think is very admirable. So I've completely given up using plastic straws. And instead now I just use one reusable ivory straw, which I think is a lot better for the environment. I've got a lot of straight friends, and I think I've kind of got a theory. My theory is that straight people are the worst. There's more. They're the worst at keeping New Year's resolutions. And I know this because whenever I talk to any of my straight friends, they're like, oh yeah, my New Year's resolution this year was I was going to give up chocolate. And then a couple of days into it, I ate a Freddo and I'm so bad, right? I just think that straight people could take a lesson from transsexual people like me, right? Because we are notoriously the best at keeping New Year's resolutions. Because we're like, yeah, 2020, I'm going to cut my dick off. And we do it. We're nothing if not committed, you have to admit. So I have a job as well, like a daytime job. Well, I used to. I hope I've still got a job. I was supposed to be working from home, and I kind of miss being in there. Like, I didn't really have much of a problem finding work. A lot of trans people do. They have problems finding work. The main problem that I have is when it comes to leaving a job. Like, I always come up with like a massive lie. Like, I always get really self-conscious about sort of, you know, talking to the manager and stuff. And in my last job that I left, I was very much like, oh, I have to leave. I have to go because I have to move back to London to look after my dad. He's really ill. The actual real reason I left that job is because I'd been in it for 6 months and not one of my colleagues made a sexual advance towards me. So I was out the door. Some people do online dating. Some people gain full-time employment. You know, that's just me. The irony of that is now my dad actually is ill. He has the coronavirus. He's upstairs. He could be dead now. We don't know. I'm doing this live stream instead of looking after him. It's a bit like a sitcom. It's a bit like the worst sitcom in the world. It's a bit like 2.5 Men, just with more coughing. It's really good. So my job, I do like a kind of IT-ish kind of job. I like it. Everyone I work with is really nice. But when I was applying for the job, I always get really self-conscious about my voice when I'm applying for jobs, right? I'm a bit self-conscious about my voice now because I worry that it's not going to sound very feminine, like sort of on the webcam and stuff. And when I was applying for this job, I would find that my voice would always go up about 3 semitones. Like when applying for the job, like, yeah, I work really well in a team as well as on my own. It's like total overcompensating. The job's nice. Everyone there is really lovely. The only thing is, I've been in this job for like 5 months, right? This new one. And the whole time I've been there, not one of my colleagues, not one of my managers, not anybody has asked me about the fact that I'm trans. Like, it hasn't come up. And I don't know if they're doing that because I pass really well now, or I don't know if they're doing that because they're all just trying to be really polite. But all I know is if it goes on much longer, I am going to have to take some maternity leave. I'm pregnant again. They can't say anything. It's a HR nightmare. They have to do it. I'm a really vain person. I worry a lot about my appearance. I can tell I'm a vain person because the only time I look out the train window is when it goes through a tunnel. And I read in Cosmo, right, that you have to go in, like if you're a young woman in the workplace, you have to go in with big dick energy, right? It's a common thing, but it's actually really hard to do when you have to tuck. Oh, what is it? I said I cut it off earlier. Did I? Didn't I? You'll never know. That's Jen's secret. I know all there is to know about the crying game. I tell you that. So full disclosure, my eyebrows aren't real. I have to draw them on. I have to draw them on like every day. I don't really mind. Like, so basically what happened is a couple of years ago, I was feeling a little bit like down in the dumps, and I pulled all of my eyebrows out with a pair of tweezers. And the thing that I didn't realize at the time is they don't grow back, which is weird, right? Because every other hair on my body grows back like within a day. Like if I shave it or if I epilate it or wax it, like boom, it's back in like a day, right? But with my eyebrows, like no, you only get one chance apparently. I wasn't aware of that, and I don't know where they are now. I just hope wherever it is that they're happy, you know, and they're doing what they love. So yeah, I live with my dad at the moment, which I thought was going to be temporary, but with the climate, I don't know if it's going to be. It's nice though. I like living with my dad. Actually, we've bonded quite a lot. My dad is an ex-Millwall football hooligan. I know you guys are in Manchester. I don't know if you're aware of that particular gender identity. I'm sitting right next to a Millwall flag right now. It's not a promotion, just proof. But he's mellowed a lot with age. He's a really nice guy. Me and my dad, we bonded the most when we were watching the women's football. I don't know if you guys watched the women's football when it was on. But he was getting really into it. He was like, yeah. And I didn't really like football, but I was enjoying it too. And I was like, wow, my dad likes the women's football. My dad, the ex-Millwall football hooligan and feminist. I was like, whoa, this is great. The only problem that I noticed with it is that he couldn't really get used to the change in pronouns, which was awkward. But then again, I think nothing says equality more than a 70-year-old man calling a young woman a dirty bastard. It was sweet. It's nice. It's nice to see. We've been watching a lot of films in quarantine, a lot of films. We watched The Greatest Showman, which I'm not a massive fan of. It's sort of like the shittest movie I've ever seen in my life. But my whole family really like it. They're like, this is me. But to give The Greatest Showman some credit, I guess I could give it some credit. A lot of people do like it. And it does have a good message, The Greatest Showman. It does. It has the message that it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how much of a social outcast you might be. You can still find work in a circus, which is nice. I think that's something to always remember. What else has been going on with me? The internet's been a real lifeline at the moment. What with everything going on. I'm on Instagram again. I left for a little while. I'm on Instagram. I had to leave Instagram because my ex is on Instagram, and the only reason I initially joined Instagram was to stalk my ex, right? Which isn't a good reason to be on it, but I'd like to kind of like check in like a guardian angel, see if they're okay, see what they're up to. And I've been kind of hoping that they were going to send me like a friend request back, right? But they haven't. But what I did get recently is I got a friend request, not from my ex, but I got a request from my ex's hamster's dedicated Instagram account, which is really weird. Like, we live in a time now where people are making like Instagram accounts and Facebook profiles and Twitter profiles for their pets, right? And the thing is, it's like, I know that hamster, right? And their house isn't anything like how they portray online. I think it sets unrealistic expectations for other hamsters everywhere. This is a bit of a hamster material that I'm doing there. And anyway, I I wasn't really sure when I got it whether or not I should follow it or not. I was like, oh, is this going to cross a line? Like, if I follow it, is that going to give off the wrong impression? Should I follow it? If I don't follow it, is that going to offend my ex? So in the end, what I decided to do is I just decided I'm going to cyberbully it. You fat cheat cunt. That's me socially bullying a hamster online. Was there anything else that I wanted to talk about today? No, I think I'm gonna end it there. That was really fun. Thank you for having me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye, everybody. Bye, Toby.
Please get up for Jen, Ivan, Ives, everybody. Jen, was that your first gig at Excess Malarkey?
It was my first official gig at Excess Malarkey. Yeah.
Because the viewers may not know if they've never been inside the actual Excess Malarkey that we always have a space for an act that we've not seen before. So you were expecting when you were probably hoping that you would actually get to be in a room full of people and to actually play the gig, and instead you're in a cupboard.
Yeah, but I like my cupboard, and it's just nice to be involved. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
It's very good of you to have done it. I need to now. We had a bit of. I don't hate to break down the fourth wall, but we did have a little bit of communication before the gig started by a medium of a thing called online banter that the general public weren't privy to because it's only for showbiz people, which is what we are. It was revealed. Is it called a dirndl?
Well, I thought it was Helen. I thought it was a misspelling, is what I thought it was. I didn't know what a dirndl was. I had to Google it.
Act X suggested it might have been. We're being heckled by one of the future acts who doesn't exist in our time stream yet, who is yelling dirndl in quite an unpleasant way, actually.
People know that Helen's on. It's fine. Don't worry about it. People know.
Do they?
Yes, they know. It's fine. It's fine.
What a terrible.
Is it still part of the show, or is this behind the scenes now? Were you in that
part of the show?
Have you just been on the telly?
But no, I'm just talking. But now I'm going to stop.
But were you just in the program then? Did you just interrupt this program? Yeah. Well, she doesn't do that when it's live. Anyway, that was Roz, everybody. Yay! So, Jen, thank you. Do you have any gigs that you've had cancelled that you would have plugged had people been allowed out of doors? Or what's your Twitter and things like that? Because I have to tell people about the internet, which is where things happen.
So my Twitter is Jen Ives Comedy, I think. It's something like that. You'll find
go there, everybody. And also you have to go to a place called the PayPal, where Roz, the lady you saw before, expects you to cross her palm with silver. I don't know why. It's a German dress for sure, says the writing anyway, I'm right. So we have another act coming on now. I'm slightly alarmed by the next act, who is a great friend of Excess Malarkey. So great a friend that we haven't actually seen him for quite a while. I can't see him on my computer screen, but that doesn't mean that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I'm hoping he's still out there somewhere. Is he, Roz? Roz is sticking her thumbs up in an anonymous way rather than, stamping into the gig like she just did. Oh, you won't see what. Right. So please welcome onto the stage our next act, who hasn't played Excess Malarkey every Tuesday, the Bread Shed, Manchester, except for now when it's in the internet here. Please welcome onto the stage your next act. It's Mr. Will Duggan! Hooray!
Hooray! Hi, Toby.
Hello, Will.
I've made a sign for the online.
I like it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. I made it myself.
Very good. How are you today? Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me. I've gone mad in quarantine. I've shaved my beard off for some ill-judged internet content. I look like an egg.
A very buff egg.
Thank you. I've been going to the gym, not recently, obviously. I'm very safe and clever, but thank you, Toby.
That's okay. You now assume the teapot position in your buffness.
I'm not used to weirdly performing. Actually, I sort of blank out normally, but I can see myself in my phone screen, and it's terrifying.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of this banter thing we're supposed to do really either. So I'm feeling equally awkward.
Toby,
I hope the viewers are loving it. Okay, I'll shut up. Do your thing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to comedy with me in isolation. I don't like the idea that you can't react, so I've set up my keyboard to do a laugh sound. So every time I think I've been funny, I'm going to hit that. He gets it. Jokes about what's happening. Two men walk into a bar, and the barman says, "Get out! We're shut. You're not allowed to be in here. What the hell? You not read the news?" I went to the doctor's this morning, and he said, "Don't come in. You might have it." Oh, just the lads over there, apparently. I went to the supermarket this morning. I went there, sure, do some shopping, and there was nothing. People are animals, so please do think on. I'm trying to cope with the quarantine by drinking. It's my go-to, and I love it. But the beer isn't doing it for me, so I've come up with a cocktail. Please notice my cocktail cabinet. Here it is. I bought this for £80 for this one joke. Do I regret it? Yes. I've made a cocktail called a quarantini. I'm going to teach you how to make a quarantini when you're at home. Anyone can make a quarantini. The ingredients are whatever booze you have in your house. The measurements are whatever you would like. So we're going to be making this quarantini with Sainsbury's triple distilled vodka, Flying Scotsman ale, never heard of it, don't know what it's in my house, Warner Edwards dry gin, some walnut grappa I bought off a man in 2006, Chambord, and rum. Okay, we're going to do the presentation today in a lovely Marie Antoinette flute saucer. No, champagne saucer. So the first thing we'll put in is a lovely bit of vodka. Yeah, right? After the vodka will come the beer. Don't mind if I do. Just pop it in there, nice and close in. I'm going to put a little bit of beer in to really settle the vodka. Next comes the dry gin. Now the gin, in case you're interested, isn't actually mine. This belongs to my girlfriend. I haven't asked to fucking use it. She's holding the camera, so if it goes blank, she's not happy with what I'm doing. There's your gin. Next comes the Chambord. Now Chambord is a raspberry liqueur. Wow, we're learning as well as laughing. Excellent. In goes the Chambord. Oh my God, it looks disgusting. I haven't had one before. A little bit behind the curtain there. And pop in the rum. So there we have a lovely golden quarantini. But it's not quite ready to drink yet. You have to add the pièce de résistance. Ooh. And, you know, cheers.
Oh, Jesus.
That is fucking disgusting. I should have had one before we went live, so I'd know what the taste would be like. I'll talk you through the notes, the bouquet and the nose, as it were. Immediately, you get the taste of pure grain alcohol. And that is eventually disperses, and the next taste in is sick. And that's, I think, from your own stomach. Once it settles, your vision goes slightly blurry, and your head feels a little bit light. I wouldn't recommend drinking more than maybe 5 or 6 of these, everyone like that one, a day. However, you know your own limits, and that's fine by me. If you want to try some more, you can, of course, make a variant on the quarantini. Now, you'll remember, of course, we put vodka in first last time. We're not going to. The first one this time will be Chambord. This completely changes the drink around. A tiny bit of Chambord, and that gives it a raspberry base. If you like a raspberry base like me, you'll love this. Walnut grappa, it smells like death. We'll pop that in there. Next, we'll go for a little bit of ale, and we'll top it off with lager, because quite frankly, we cannot take any more spirits. You'll notice now, if you look at the quarantini, it's a completely different drink. This one looks fruity, like a cocktail, like a punch, like something you drink on a warm summer's day in the park, but not now. Stay away from the park. Fucking vape gone. Blah, 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 blah. And that one genuinely tasted like aloo gobi. I don't like aloo gobi. I was going to change the sound to applause now. And that's the end of the, you know, everything. Thank you for having me. Goodbye.
Will Duggan, ladies and gentlemen. Very good. Please, are you okay, Will?
Not really, mate. I should have written some jokes.
well, prop comedy, you know, they're all tax deductible now, at least. Now that you use them for the entertainment purposes of entertainment.
Great. That'll bring down my median income from the government. Lovely.
Oh gosh, yes, of course. No, actually, yes. Anyway, well, Will, thank you. Where are you on the social medias?
Hashtag Will Duggan.
Will
I do
Duggan.
a quiz every day at 5 o'clock, 5:45 on Twitter. Come and do it. It's fun.
Go and do Will's comedy quiz. Presumably the first question tomorrow is, why am I being sick and why is the two of everything? But well, I hope you recover. Thank you for pushing the boat out.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Excess Malarkey Live, which is going to continue now with our next act, who has played Excess Malarkey once before in the past recent times, and is a welcome returnee. She's been doing absolutely brilliantly in the past couple of years, so it's a real delight to welcome her back into the Excess Malarkey fold. Please stamp your feet, clap your hands, and give a big warm welcome to Helen Bauer!
Yay! Thank you, Toby. How are you?
Well, I'm all the better to see you. Thank you very much for doing our silly gig.
Thank you for having me. I feel like everyone probably thinks I'm really annoying because I said it was called a dirndl, the dress, but it 100% is though. It's a German dress.
I know. I liked the fact that I'd learnt a new word. I liked the fact that you were so fastidious about the truth. And then I was slightly alarmed by how cross you were when we wavered just marginally from the truth to question whether it was called a dirndl or not. And we actually saw a dark side of you that the audience was spared, but you looked to me like you could kill again.
Do you feel like it's a surprising thing that I'd be so angry because I knew the word dirndl? Clearly I've got German heritage, that's why I know it. So like obviously I was going to rise to anger. Like there's just no way around that, is there?
Well, now that you've put it like that and quite as forcefully, I agree with every word you've said.
It wasn't forcefully said. It was easygoing. I'm one of your zen, easygoing gals, just enjoying my quarantine.
Yeah. and just remind you, Helen, this is day one. So good luck.
What? Thank you. I want to say that I'm quarantined in a house with my best friend from school. Her name's Emma. She's just there. She's not going to be on camera. She's just boozing next to me, just so everyone knows that's who I'm talking to. I think she's mainly here to correct me if I say something that she thinks is incorrect or doesn't represent her properly, but we'll see. Genuinely, this is going to be the most passive-aggressive bitchy set of all times because we've both been drinking wine and trying to avoid each other all day, but now we're just following each other. And to be honest with you, when I say best friend from school, I mean, I love her so much, but I also think I'll kill her one day. It's like that sort of a relationship. Like, because we're both, I think, like I'm basic, Emma's basic plus, I'm basic plus really, because I'm kind of self-aware with it. Like we've got Yankee candles, but like she switches them out seasonally. Does that make sense? Like that's her sort of vibe. And we're both struggling a lot at the moment to like not do the things that we usually do to get through a week. Like usually by this point, if we've had a fight, one of us will buy a succulent because that replaces love in our minds. Like we're both finding it super fucking difficult not to cut a fringe at the moment because like for her, she's got straight hair, right? Like for you, a fringe looks good on you. She rocked a fringe all the way through school. It was fucking amazing. I've got naturally curly hair, so I cut a fringe, it bounces up. And like, no offense, I can see Roz and Jen, their fringes are amazing, but you know the rules of fringes, like the higher the fringe, the worse the mental health. Like I literally feel like I can't come out of quarantine, just sort of like, hi, my name's Helen, I'm struggling. Like I don't want to go through that, so I'm really trying to like not do that. And all I've got to do, because all the gigs have been cancelled, is just watch crap TV. So now my YouTube recommends is Beauty and the Geek as of today, and it's not good, and it's all TLC, which sounds like it's like a really bad show channel. It's not. It's TLC. It stands for the Learning Channel, which is amazing, because like the only thing I've ever learned from it is like that a toddler can be attractive with enough makeup on. But you know what? Learning's learning, and I'm going to take it. Also, did you see? Sorry, out of curiosity, if anyone is watching Toddlers and Tiaras or ever has watched it, I genuinely thought it'd been cancelled years ago because it's like so not of the times. But what's amazing is they're still making new episodes of Toddlers and Tiaras, but the producers decided to make it with a woke like slant on it. So what they're doing now is each week they're having a mother-daughter pairing who's entering the daughter in a pageant as a barefaced beauty with like no makeup on, no fake hair, no fake lashes, no fake tan. And the idea is to like build up the little girl's self-esteem because she's beautiful the way she is, which is like the nicest sentiment ever. But it's like, she's not gonna win. Like there's a 4-year-old with a corset on. You've got to step it up. These shows are so addictive. Like I feel like everyone's gonna think I'm so trash by listing all these shows, but I have been a lifelong fan of reality TV. Like I started very, very young. I'm still rewatching currently all the diet TV shows that I was raised on, which I know are awful, but oh my God, they're so, so good. Because like, I think when they released diet TV shows like Super Size vs Super Skinny and Extreme Makeover Weight Loss Edition, like, did you watch these? Yeah. I know Emma Black watched them because on our way walking to school, we used to discuss how good the diet was, the Special K release, where it was like, just eat Special K for lunch as well. And we were like, oh my God, that's fucking genius. Let's all 100% do it. And then one of the girls did it and she didn't lose any weight. And we're like, an absolute waste of time. And we found out she was actually having 2 lunches and it's like, ugh, gross. Basically, we were watching these diet TV shows and we were like, oh, the thinking behind it is that you watch a diet TV show and then you're inspired not to eat that way because it's disgusting. But the thing is, they forget in the first 10 minutes of all these shows that they show you what they eat to get to that size. And instead of being like, oh my God, oh, that's disgusting, I'd never put that on my body, I'm just watching it like, these people are so amazing and creative. Like, do you remember that episode with that woman called, like, I think her name was Karen, and she had a pizza for dinner every single day, but then she grilled it, and then she put a layer of doner kebab meat on it, and then another layer of cheese, and then grilled it again and dipped it in mayonnaise, and everyone was like, oh, that's fucking gross, and I was already like, oh my God, 100% call the doner kebab shop, this is fucking amazing. Like, the only show of these that I hate is Secret Eaters. Did you watch Secret Eaters? Emma's like my favourite audience member right now because she's being so agreeable with me, where usually she's so fucking difficult. This is ridiculous. All right, Secret Eaters was the show. We're going to have such a fight after this is done. Secret Eaters is like a diet TV show with a twist because it's Channel 4, so they've got to have a really good twist. And their twist was that the people on the diet TV show didn't know they were on a diet TV show, and they filmed them in their house. And they knew about that. They knew there were cameras in their house. So they were doing like a really good show in the house, being like, oh my God, like I love healthy food. This is the way we live. Why are we so big? And it was so, so good. And then what they didn't tell them is they hired 2 private detectives and got their friends and family members to go through their bins and spy at them in work and in their cars. And then they invited them for a meeting with the producers, and this fake wall opened up behind them in a cafe when they were like eating, because it's like really funny to catch fat people like eating mid-bite. Like my friends love doing it to me. It's so lol. And basically they pull back that and it looks like a murder investigation of their town with just a map with pins coming out of it with like red drawstring with them eating sausage rolls and like grainy footage. And it is so fucking life-changing because I've been a secret eater since I was like, what, like 9 or 8? I think I was like literally as soon as school was finished, I was like, I've got an hour at home before my mum gets home so I can stuff all the food in, then I'll hide the wrappers, put them in the bin. Like, but I put them actually behind a kitchen sink sort of a thing, which was fine to my parents did a kitchen renovation when I was 16. And they were like, what's this? And I was like, I don't know, like clearly me, I'm huge. But basically I was like, I'm so good at this, I'll be ahead of the curve. I can finally watch people on TV who I can look up to and be like, oh my God, these are my secret eating heroes. I don't want to understate this, but I've never been more disappointed in people in my life. Like, my dad's never hugged me and this hurt more. Basically, there was a woman on it and she started crying because she got caught eating a flapjack that she didn't report. And it's like it's a flapjack, it's oats, it's basically air. You'll live. Like, I mean, I get that a food diary is private, like for anyone who has kept a food diary, it is the most private thing of all time. Like, I think I'd rather someone know my incognito mode search history than see my food diary. Actually, I said that, I think I'm actually really good at searching on incognito mode and on Pornhub, because I actually think I've completed porn, because I typed something in the other day that said no results, which I think means I win. But basically, I should not say that, but basically, do you want to know what no, I won't say, but basically I went down a really far hole, and I was like, no, let's actually leave that. This is being recorded, isn't it? Send it to my mum. And basically, but that's one thing. Secret eating should be super fucking private, but it's not kept that way on this show. And then I was like, oh, I bet they're really ashamed of it, and they've taken it all down. It's all on YouTube, and then on Amazon Prime, you can still watch Super Size versus Super Skinny, which is that show. Emma, you're in shock. Back off. Basically, it's a show where they made them stand in like skin tight, like nude coloured underwear next to feeding tubes, and they would just pour food in. And then the skinny person, they'd be like, oh my God, you starve yourself. And the big person, like, you love drinking gravy. And they'd be like, yeah, I love it, 100%. So frustrating. I'm going to tell them what I found out the other day. Basically, this is the worst thing about being quarantined. I'll leave them this. This is the worst thing about being in quarantine with someone you went to school with, is because all we're doing is talking with our school friends all the time. I think one of them's watching. Hi, Kate Field, how's it going, babe? Basically, I found out the other day, this is so awful, we were all talking about school, and I was like, oh my God, school was so much fun. Didn't we have a great time? And then one of them was like, are you serious? Did you have a good time? And I was like, yes. And it turns out I was bullied the whole time, and I was too thick to notice. That is the most devastating thing anyone has ever gone through. Apparently, I was just walking around like, oh, call me on the weekend, guys. And they're like, absolutely not. And I was like, oh, butter. Like, just no fucking awareness. And now I have to live with that, with finding out all these things about people not liking me, and I assumed I was liked the whole time. That is fucking tragic. I genuinely worry now I'm not my parents' favourite kid, even though I'm pretty sure I am. My brother's like been to jail, so like I win. That's it. I think that was a really fun rant, though.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Helen Bauer.
Thanks, Toby.
How do you feel? How do you feel that way? How do you feel about that, Helen? Are you happy now?
I didn't realise I was drunk. That is something I've planned.
No, well, good. Is that the first time you've performed pissed?
Oh, no, not the first time pissed, but the first time clothed and pissed to a camera.
Oh, I see what you did there. I said performed in one way, and you meant it in a slightly saucier way, which we'll have to. Oh dear. Right. Okay. Well, yes. Well done. Well. Thank you, Helen. That was very enjoyable. I hope you will come and join us in the flesh at Excess Malarkey when quarantine has been lifted. Where are you on the social medias?
Oh yes. Oh, I've got Instagram.
Well done. What's that? And how are you finding it?
I fucking love it, Toby. It's Helen.
I haven't mastered it at all. I showed them how I built a bin store out of, it's not driftwood, but it's this, because I don't live near the sea, but inland driftwood, and then pictures of my dog, but I'm not sure what it contributes to the great national conversation.
I mean, that's good. I mean, my Instagram, mainly tomorrow, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I think basically it's going to be me just sort of like dancing around the kitchen. That's it. That's all I've got.
Any happy returns.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us what you do on your Instagram, please.
It's literally just me watching trash TV at the moment. That's it. Oh, and also I'm addictive puzzler. Like I've been a puzzler for ages, and now everyone's suddenly discovering puzzles. So I'm doing like puzzles. Like what's it called? Helen's World of Puzzles. Yeah, that's it.
Which you then puzzle all of its own. Well, Helen Bauer, thank you very much for joining us at Excess Malarkey, live on the internet / television.
Thank you. I had an amazing time. It's been life-changing. Be the change you want to see.
Yeah. Yes. Right. We need a catchier title for this thing. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to welcome onto the stage our last actor. What I normally do at this point in the evening, I say, I'm going to be mercifully brief, which is self-deprecating because really I hope that everyone's sad about that, but I have to sort of fend off any insults before they come, because it's a self-defense mechanism that was bred largely through being ignored as a child. Hello, Mum. My mother has donated to this feed, by the way. That was very kind of you, Mum. You could have just given me the money. But anyway, now we have to give it to comedians. Anyway, listen up. Next, I can't plug next week because who is on is a secret. In fact, you don't even know who's coming on right now. But please come and join us next week. Any technical things will perhaps have been ironed out. They won't replace the MC, unfortunately. And if you've got any suggestions, don't put replace the MC. Don't anyone use comedian in inverted commas, because that's a bit like currently using the word blitz. It's a shortcut to make us know you're a moron. Godfrey Bloom did it yesterday. If you don't know him, he's the phrase in human form. Anyway, so yes, hopefully I'll still be here. I might not cut my hair until the crisis is over. My other half said that she would kill me if I grew a ponytail, but I think if I live long enough to grow a ponytail, the sweet embrace of death will probably be quite welcome. So anyway, so let's hope it doesn't last too long. I've got some stock in, but I did eat most of it yesterday. The 6-pack of knickknacks unfortunately didn't survive the weekend, but I am the sort of person that will make a packed lunch and eat it on the tram. So anyway, we have one more act. Oh, I love this man. We haven't seen him live at Access Malay. He holds a special place in my heart because he came to see my show, Moths Ate My Doctor Who Scarf, probably more times than anybody else when it was first at the Edinburgh Fringe, when he was a very young man with a bright future ahead of him. That bright future is now, and he's going to spend part of it at Excess Malarkey. So please welcome onto the stage the final act of the evening. Stamp your feet, clap your hands, and give a big warm welcome to Nish Kumar!
Hello from space.
I like your living room.
Yeah, boy. I have self-isolated like a motherfucker. Can't get more isolated than space, baby. Oh, hey, Clooney. Ditch Sandy Bollocks, did you? Piece of shit. Yeah, if you've been having Zoom meetings and you've not changed the background so it looks like you're in space, you're a fucking gutless coward. That's all I can say. You can change the backgrounds. This is almost a public service announcement before I get into the very hilarious comedy. If you go to share background, you can be in space, or you could be in San Francisco, baby. Has that worked? Am I in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Howdy, everybody. Up to the Golden Gate Bridge. Harvey Milk. The Castro. Let me go back to space. I'm going to try and hang on. I might even be able to get an image here. I'm now in Fraser Crane's apartment. Niles, get me the dog whose name is Eddie. And now we're back in my house. The reason that I keep switching up the backgrounds, hold on, I'm going to press X. There's a chance I might actually just delete myself from the stream. No, I've done it. It's great. The reason that I keep putting backgrounds on is because A, it's fun, and B, without them, this looks like a very low production value ISIS hostage video. I basically haven't cut my hair for about 2.5 months, so it looks like I've been quarantining for about 70 years. It really does. Also, I'd like to say I was very triggered by Will's fucking keyboard because the fake laugh sound on his keyboard sounds like my real laugh. It does not make me feel good that's happening. I've been isolating for about 70 years. I look like Tom Hanks in Castaway. I have named one of my testes Wilson. So, and all in general terms, we're all going quite mad. I spent quite a lot of time watching all of the news broadcasts. It's very sad to see Boris Johnson have to speak seriously about any subject because he spent so long making his personal brand a sort of, oafish clown. The problem is that now he's set himself up in a position where, we're used to seeing him hanging off zip wires and rugby tackling children, not giving earnest speeches about how everyone's grand's going to die. And every one of his public addresses feels like when the Fresh Prince would do a serious episode. And it just feels like every time he finishes speaking, the camera's just going to cut to the titles in black, and it's just going to be a piano version of the theme tune, just going dun 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 dun. And yesterday he said he was going to enlist all of us to fight this, or use the word enlist. I really think it's time to let the Second World War go as a nation, guys. I really feel like it might be time as a country we just embrace the fact that everyone who did anything of any meaningful contribution to that war is long dead. Like there's a few of them left, and if you're 100-year-old and you fought in the Second World War, by all means pop up a keep calm and carry on poster. But the rest of you, you're a fucking joke. But he said that we need to enlist in some sort of army to fight coronavirus, and this might be the first army that I am qualified to fight in, because ultimately all this army involves is not doing anything. Just doing absolutely nothing. Just sit in your house and eat hummus straight out the tub with a spoon, and you are a war hero now. And I think that's really not, I think that's really the last war that I'm qualified to fight in. I think otherwise the isolation is going pretty well. I'm actually performing all my gigs under these circumstances now. So if anything, the coronavirus has not affected my career in any way, shape or form. I'm now only doing gigs where the audience are not in the same room as me, and I'm appearing via web link up. And that is solely because it's the only way to guarantee people don't throw fucking bread rolls at me. It's the only way that I can keep myself safe from the hordes of the British public. I had an unfortunate run-in with a yeast-based projectile in December of last year. I'm also realising that people said a lot of terrible things about me on the internet, and some of my friends are very concerned. But, I'm kind of used to people saying terrible things to me in real life anyway. I've never taken cocaine in 34 years, largely, and I think now it's over for me anyway. I can't take cocaine now because you don't want to be somebody in their mid-30s who takes up drugs. That's very sad. I've never done cocaine or been skiing, and as far as I can tell, they all seem to involve a lot of white powder and white people. And I think at this point, it's probably no good for me to take them up. But I told a friend of mine that I'd never taken cocaine before, and he said, with that nose, what a waste. So what I'm saying is I am used to people saying very unpleasant things about me. So really, there was really no difference after what happened. What happened was on the 5th of December, I was going to do a gig for the Lord's Taverners, who are a very lovely cricket charity that I've done a lot of work for in the past. They provide sporting equipment to disabled and disadvantaged children, and the people who run the charity are very nice. They have a big Christmas luncheon at a Park Lane hotel every year, and they hire a comedian to do a 20-minute set at the lunch. Now, I've been to that lunch as a guest of the charity before, and they asked me to perform, and I was very reluctant to do so because I've been there, and the majority of the audience is, the best way to put it is that there's a lot of people there who are big C and small c cunts. Just a lot of absolute cunts. And so I was a bit concerned there might not be a great booking. But then I thought, you know what? It's December 2019, Christmas, the time of, giving. And I thought to myself, you know what, Nish Kumar, it's about time you did something good for the world. Give a little back at this time of festive need for people. And I really thought to myself as I was going there, it's a charity gig at Christmas. What's the worst that could happen? 24 hours later, a BBC News report about the gig was the most read story on the BBC News website. In the 8 days that followed the gig, a grand total of 10,074 words was written about it. That is 74 words more than my dissertation in English literature, and somehow even more useless. Okay, so here's what happened. Let me set the record straight for once and for all. What happened was the gig started, and the first 5 minutes went well, which you don't hear about in any of the fucking news reports. None of them talk about how well the first 5 minutes were going. No one ever talks about how much fun they were having on the Titanic before the iceberg. They were having a great time. I've seen the flick. They were down there doing their weird dances and the spinning. That was a bloody laugh. So the first 5 minutes went fine. Then I thought, well, this has gone well. I've established a rapport in the room. And also, I spent a lot of time speaking to people that largely agree with my political views. Might be nice for me to step out of the bubble. Let's bring up Brexit, which is a problem for me because I bring up Brexit at any possible opportunity. Even with Corona, I'm like, what's that doing for Brexit? I'm obsessed with it. I am what's technically known as a buzzkill on a group chat. Oh, I'm a buzzkill on a group chat. I'm always there going, guys, do you know we've technically spent more money trying to execute the Brexit process than we would have paid into the EU if we just remained a member state? And everyone's like, that's all very well and good, Nish, but this is Ed Stag do. So can you just pick bowling or laser quest? So I brought up Brexit, and I'll tell you what, for a group of men who I imagine would regard pepper as being a bit much, they got very spicy. Very spicy, very quickly. We worked our way up the Nando's heat chart extremely quickly. They started shouting stuff, so I thought, right, well, here's what I'll do. I'll make a joke about Boris Johnson. And that arguably went even worse. Just to give you some context, one of the other items apart from comedy was a silent auction. One of the items on the auction was a signed photo of Margaret Thatcher. So what I'm trying to say is some of this shit is my fault, right? So after the Johnson joke went down badly, I thought, well, now I'll give it a go. I'll do a joke about Jacob Rees-Mogg. Now, if we're to further the Titanic analogy, at this point, that is the equivalent of the captain of the Titanic seeing the iceberg and going, I'm going to go through this cunt. We are not going around. That's for pussies. So I started doing the joke about Rees-Mogg. At this point, the booing had become quite noticeable. It was quite noticeable that a lot of people were booing me, right? And, you know, at this point, I thought, well, let me try and make a joke about Theresa May because they, you know, they hate her because she's seen as a person who frustrated Brexit. These people don't like her. Turns out they don't like her until I criticize her, at which point these guys become a bunch of May stans. Oh, they love May when I slagged her off. Now, by this stage, the atmosphere had become quite unmanageable and a bread roll had been thrown. Now, I use that choice of words very specifically because here's the thing. The audience were largely comprised of people who played cricket within the English cricket establishment, not necessarily for England, but within the English cricketing establishment in the 1970s and 80s. Now, for the cricket fans out there on the internet, you will know that in the 70s and 80s, we were fucking shit. And so the bread roll, like not a lot of those guys are packing a lot of heat in the elbow region. So the bread roll did not get within the vicinity of my postcode. It sort of p-rolled somewhere 6 meters to my right. It was so far away from me that I had to ask them, did you throw that bread roll at me? Now, just to be clear, there was only one bread roll. I read somewhere that I got pelted with bread rolls. Can you be pelted with one of a thing? I don't want to get into a semantic debate over this shit, but if your friend came in and said, I'd wear a raincoat because it's pelting it down out there, and you walked outside and you got hit by a single raindrop, you'd be like, you're a fucking idiot, mate. So the bread roll had been thrown, people are booing, everyone's shouting, people are angry. Now, what often a lot of comedians will do is they'll try and improvise something within the room that somehow, it just calls attention to everything that's going on and resets the room a little bit. It has the effect of making the audience remind that they're sort of involved in it. And it can sometimes turn a difficult gig around. Now, before I tell you what I said, let's just be clear that I thought this was good. I thought this would go well. I said, well, I guess this is what I get when I perform for a room full of people, largely comprised of people who descended from people who colonized my ancestors. Now, that, it turns out, was not the right choice of words, because that made them even angrier. And they really got angry, and one man shouted, that was ages ago! And he's right, technically it was ages ago. And then eventually I was ushered off the stage by a man in a fucking weird red coat who looked like a beef eater on his day off. And he just sort of came up to me and just shook my hand and just went, "Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Now is the time for the raffle." And that really is one of the most undignified ways I've been asked to leave stage. Honestly, it was one of the worst gigs I've ever had in my entire life. Other bad gigs I've had, number one, chased off stage by a Scottish heavy metal band in 2006 at the Edinburgh Festival. They double booked the venue. They were not happy about it. Number two, 2010, I was opening a gig at Cambridge that was being headlined by the stars of the recent hit sitcom The In-Betweeners. 3 minutes into my set, a man from the back shouted, "When are the famous people on?" And then afterwards, that man came up to me and went, "Sorry, mate, I just love famous people." We all do, brother. Respect. And then one of my other worst gigs in 2012 at the Edinburgh Festival, national treasure and icon of my childhood, Victoria Wood, came to see my Edinburgh show in a 42-seat room. And she fucking hated it. Oh, she hated it so badly. Oh, you all think you've had a bad day at work. Have you ever looked into the face of someone you've known your entire life on television as they look at you like you're a goddamn piece of shit? She hated it so much that at one point I got distracted and dropped the microphone. And I don't mean in like a cool deaf comedy jam, like I dropped it like this. I mean, literally, I got flustered, did this, and the microphone spilled on the floor. Like, there's very few objectively measurable things that you can be bad at in stand-up comedy. The whole thing is a subjective art form. But if you cannot hold the microphone, you've fundamentally failed as a comedian. Anyway, bad gig. Afterwards, bit of fun. My friend Tim was there. He said, "Here's a pint. Sorry, I started the booing." Good laugh. Good laugh, actually. Really good laugh. And then, you know, there was a lot of unpleasantness for 24 hours afterwards. But, you know, it was all good. I mean, I had to go to the police about one death threat. There's one death threat that was a bit too specific. You know, you get a lot of death threats. And it's part of the life of being in the public eye. But a couple of them were too specific. And I went to had to go to the police. And the policeman wanted to know all the sort of wider context and wanted to know, from my perspective, how we had ended up in this situation. And he wanted to know the full background, so he wanted to hear all about the gig. And I pretty much told him everything as I have spoken it into the internet this evening. And let me tell you, the number one worst gig of my life, and the worst gig any comedian will ever have to do, is when you have to repeat your material verbatim to a police officer who is taking it down as part of an official police statement. That is a difficult fucking gig. Richard Pryor himself could not turn that room around. McIntyre would have, actually, McIntyre would still smash it. That guy's got game. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to speak into the internet this evening. I hope people got something out of it. It's real great seeing Acaster laugh a lot about the Victoria Wood story because he remembers that gig. But thank you very much for having me.
Well, am I unmuted? Am I unmuted? Yes, I am. Oh, I'm showing the workings. Nish Kumar, ladies and gentlemen. Yay! Thank you, Nish. Thank you for doing this.
My absolute pleasure, Tobes. Do you know that you gave me my first ever paid gig in comedy?
Did I?
Yeah, I did Access Malarkey in 2007, I think. And it was the first time anyone ever paid me to do stand-up comedy.
Oh, well, that's nice. Well, yes, well, good. Hooray. Well, that's nice. Well, thank you for doing it then, and thank you for still doing it now. Even when we don't have a building to... Well, we do have a building. It just lies empty. And you had to press a button to get space. I've got a fucking Martian behind me, sweetheart. This is my actual house. I count with 5 of the times I saw Moth Take My John to stuff. I believe it was 5 times. Was it 5 times? That was very kind of you, because basically if I had reviewers say, "Can you come and see it again, please?" So you were my rent a crowd. Thank you so much. That was when you were in Durham Review. Goodness me. Yeah, that's right. Well, look, thank you for doing that. And thank you for us. Thank you. I've got to thank, a couple of things, because we've been communicating with each other so that you don't see the workings behind the screen. And Jen said that we were all bays. I don't know what a bay is, but apparently, what's a bay? What's a B-A-E? What's a bay? Can somebody tell me what a
Oh,
bay
you're
is?
asking me?
Yes, what's a bay?
It means you're a stand-up guy.
Oh, well, I better
Or
not stand
gal.
up. I better not stand up because you don't want to see what I'm wearing under. Anyway, what does it stand for something? Is it an acronym or is it just a made-up word?
It's a compliment from young people, Tobes.
Oh,
means
God.
anyone else,
Just means you're super nice, Toby.
Oh, okay. Well, can you be super nice in English? But other than that, thank you very much. Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please thank all of the acts who I think we're now going to bring you via the miracle of platitudes. Please give it up. I don't know why we don't need your applause, but it's just tradition. And that's what's going to get us through this hell. Please give it up for all the acts you saw James Acaster. Thank you, James. I'm saying Will Duggan for some reason, but thank you, James. There's James Acaster. He's on my telly. I don't know if he's on yours.
I don't know. I loved it.
Do you know what, James? I thought because you are a man of great profile, I thought you'd do your bit and then bugger off, and you stayed here for the whole thing.
That's the beauty of the lockdown. I've got fuck all else to do, and so I might as well stick around and watch it for the first time in my life.
Well, I thought you showed great solidarity with your fellow acts, which is more than some acts have done in the history of Excess Malarkey, and I won't name any names. Come late, talk through everybody else. And anyway, so
Barney McGuinness.
Well, he wasn't even on. I'll get into that, but he's still, yes, rat-a-tat-tat he did. Right, anyway, and also you saw Jen Ives making an Excess Malarkey debut by the magic
Thank you
of
very much. I had a nice time.
Well, thank you for doing it, and hopefully we will see you on the actual stage when we all emerge from this ague.
That would be lovely, thanks.
And you also saw, sadly, he's currently having his stomach pumped, Will Duggan.
Oh,
God. He's building up an immunity to the whatever it was, a funny pun, but I can't remember it.
Quarantini.
The quarantini. It's a brilliant joke.
Thank
you're
you.
looking very
Thank you
loose
so
there,
much for having
Will.
me.
I hope you have a lovely time in the arms of Bacchus there. And we also saw who was already, but I mean, I think being nuzzled by Bacchus when she began her set, so is probably trotting with him now. Helen Bauer, ladies and gentlemen, is trotting a thing. No. Are you all right? How are you doing, Helen?
I'm good. Emma's alive. I feel like everyone thought she was like being bullied. She loves it.
Thank you for being there, Emma. Is this Emma's first gig?
It is actually, yeah. It's so exciting. We text all our friends.
Well, at Excess Malarkey, Emma, we've given many. I think Alan Carr did his first gig at Excess Malarkey. Nish did his first paid gig. Justin Morehouse did his first paid gig at Excess Malarkey. So, Emma, I expect you to be headlining the gig in about 15 years' time when you've got your own TV. Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you. And you also saw he's moved location because he's such a gadfly. You saw Nish Kumar, ladies and gentlemen, who's now on a blade of grass. Thank you, Nish. Thank you for doing it.
no, my absolute pleasure. I had a great time, and now I'm off back into the jungle.
Well, listen, everybody. This is the first time we've done a gig like this. We pre-recorded bits last time, and they uploaded onto the internet. This has been live. We're all live. How long that remains, we don't know, but we all sounded fairly free of plague. So we're going to try and do this next week, unless you all text in and go, that was rubbish, and use comedian in inverted commas and all of that. Thank you very much, because some of you have crazily donated, which is very kind of you, and we moment of sincerity. I have to flag it up. Very kind of you to support this and to let us. We hope you've liked it and want us to do it again, because Excess Malarkey is every Tuesday. So even if we can't get outside, we will do it from inside, even if we're just talking to ourselves. But we haven't been tonight. So in a way, we need more people next week, or it will sound like, it will feel like a rejection. if I start the gig next week and Ros send me a text going, there's 13 people watching, I'll do the whole thing with a heavy heart and a death wish. So nobody wants that. So please keep supporting this. You know, just don't watch that thing on Netflix you've been putting off watching, because even though it looks good, you can't be asked. You know those series. Oh, that looks really good quality, but I don't actually want to watch it. And please keep supporting live comedy. Please stay safe. Please wash your hands. And thanks to Ros also, who's been our magician behind the scenes, who's organised the whole thing with the other Excess Malarkey crew, Hannah and John and Jay and Joe and Mike Fishcake and Lee Martin. And yes, we're all a bunch, but Ros has been very much holding the internet together with her bare hands so that we can travel through cyberspace into your houses. That's the science. So please give it up for all the acts that have entertained you tonight. My name's Toby Hadoke. Thank you very much, and good night.
Woo! Yes.
Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, I don't know if we're still on telly.
I think we are.
They just cut Toby's mic.
Someone's just joined.
Hello? Hello, well done, guys.
Hiya. All right,
Yes.
we're gonna flip back to the to this now because we want to say goodbye. Can all the acts go away, please? I love you, but bye. Thank you so much. See you later. Okay. Bye. We're
Did
just
that
having,
work?
yes, it did. We're still live. We're just having a little team goodbye to the audience.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
so the people can
You can stay, Toby.
Yeah, you can stay. You're part of the team.
You're-
You have to kick the
You're part of the
out.
team. Stay, Toby.
Are we still on the telly?
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
That's Hannah.
See you all
Oh,
next
she
week.
might be on my telly. I don't know. Thank you for watching, everybody. This is Behind the Scenes. This is Excess Malarkey Confidential.
It is. We're going to stop the stream now. Thank you all very much. Bye.
Bye.